Hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our weekend weather update and the outlook for next week in the New Zealand and Australia areas. We've got a couple of storms to focus on. This warmer than average weather we've been seeing around New Zealand this week, it disappears next week. We've got a cold, wintry southerly coming back. Let's take a look at the animated wind map as we end this week. High pressure up here to the north in the Tasman Sea and extends right across a large portion of Australia. A lot of low pressure to the south, normal kind of stuff, blowing through those windy westerlies which come in and across parts of New Zealand. So we've got a westerly flow at the moment, but that will change next week. We've got a southerly coming on in. Rainfall for the next 24 hours, the bulk of it coming in around the west coast, but Southland and parts of the North Island also seeing some patchy rain as that system moves through. A couple of isolated thunderstorms out there at sea. So as we go into the weekend, pretty dry to start with. There could be a couple of isolated showers still lingering around, caught up in that southwesterly flow, but otherwise it is mostly dry around New Zealand. It will also be a little bit colder, been much warmer over the last week. Tonight and Saturday night, some risk of isolated frosts, very light ones, through the South Island interior. Otherwise, it still looks a little too warm. And even here, there's a mild northwesterly flow out of Queensland and New South Wales, slowly drifting into the lower South Island, and that starts on Saturday and gets a little bit more noticeable on Sunday. So once again, warming back up, but this time we're warming up ahead of a wintry change coming next week. So high pressure on Sunday is in control. That will ease those southwest winds blowing through places like Auckland, but the rain clouds now arrive in the south as that nor'wester out of Australia moves back in. And over in Australia, there's a cooler change coming in here for Melbourne and Hobart. Sydney's got showers, and Alice Springs, once again, has got some wet weather while Perth is nice and settled. So let's get into next week. We do have this change moving through. It begins on Monday, it peaks on Tuesday, and moves away by Wednesday. So here on Monday is the low, moving through with a rain band that connects all the way off to Australia. So that cold front I just mentioned in Aussie moves into Sydney and New South Wales over, as we go through Monday, with the colder southerly coming in for you, but the others that had it the day before are now more settled as high pressure expands there. In New Zealand, heavy rain on the west coast will turn to snow later on up in the mountains and ranges. Here's Tuesday's forecast. Now we get it, everyone says. So here's the southerly coming through. So this is a classic setup for cold weather. We park a low pressure zone over near Dunedin. We put a high out over Tasmania, and the two work together to dredge up a southerly. So if this map is accurate, Tuesday's looking pretty stormy. There'll be severe gale force southerlies coming in, heavy rain going into Canterbury. That'll be welcome. That'll be good news. But it will fall as snow higher up in the mountains and ranges, and very cold air coming through. Daytime highs on Tuesday next week through the South Island, through Southland in the South Island, looking as though they'll only get to around 6 or 7 degrees at the warmest part of the day. So a several degree temperature drop coming for the South Island, only a few degrees getting up to the North Island, a few degrees down, that is, and that won't be for another day afterwards. That will be on Wednesday. But that's Tuesday's setup. It does look pretty stormy, and the maximum temperatures, departure from normal, well below normal in the South Island. This area here, over 8 degrees colder than it should be at the warmest part of the day. But then you go out to Banks Peninsula, bang on normal temperatures. You go into the North Island, you can see through the spine of the North Island, that's where the colder weather is coming through. But the westerlies blowing ahead of that cold change push the temperatures up above average in those eastern areas, which, by the way, is what the southerly is doing over here on the west coast. You get that reverse nor'wester, which lifts up your temperatures over there. So that's where the wintry weather will be coming through the most. And by the way, temperatures here, 8-9 degrees, if you're lucky, and then up here, 18 degrees. So that is a big difference. We've got some snow as well, the 2-day snow map covering Monday and Tuesday. So this is not coming right down into Invercargill and Dunedin. Not to say that we're ruling out the isolated snow flurry or sleet, that is possible. But as far as the biggest snowfalls settling on the ground is concerned, mostly mountains and ranges. You can see it does get close here at the Canterbury foothills. So worth keeping a close eye on, but hopefully it's not going to be too problematic. Our final map for Wednesday shows the North Island's turn now to get that wintry southerly. It'll be most noticeable in the lower half. Taranaki over to Central Plateau, over to Hawke's Bay, southwards. That's where it'll be coldest. The Chatham Islands, severe weather, hurricane force winds potentially blowing through there with a wintry change as that storm moves by, but the high rolls in, and that means we will have colder weather coming up, but also those winds easing. And to fast forward further into the future, there's the next system coming through. So that will be bringing in a burst of spring weather for the southeastern corner of Australia as we go through the end of next week. And then eventually that will reach New Zealand as well. That's all from me. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.